or not? One of the extremes. Yes.
Well, I don't think so right this minute.
If not, according to Prasangika, anyone who understands ultimate reality should be Prasangika. So you mean to say the Swatantrika Madhyamikas, they are also Prasangikas?
Well, some of them are.
Yes, no. Yes, no. So if yes, then why did you call him as Swatantrika Madhyamika instead of saying Prasangika Madhyamika? Okay, now what about those who said no?
He calls himself.
Sorry?
He calls himself.
No, it's not a matter of whether, it's not that don't call yourself a Buddha. Nobody will accept you as a Buddha. So this means you have to really follow the rules and regulations of the conventions.
Okay.
It's not that anyone can call myself Prasangika or something like that. So someone will come to check you. If you think you are Prasangika, someone will come to check you if you understand everything is correct. So now what about, so now again back to my question. Swatantrika Madhyamika, according to the point of, from the point of view of Prasangika Madhyamika, Swatantrika Madhyamika has it understood the emptiness of inherent existence of the table? No. Okay. They should have understood the emptiness of inherent existence of the table because they understood the emptiness of independent existence of the table. And whereas these two are synonymous.
But in the Svatantrika...
Yes, no.
No.
What no?
Not synonymous.
They're not synonymous.
These two are not synonymous.
Not in Svatantrika.
No. What I'm saying is that from the point of view of Prasangika, I already just right from the beginning, I said that, I said that a platform. From the point of view of Prasangika, does Swatantrika Madhyamika understand the emptiness of inherent existence of the table? You said no. And I said they should have understood it, because they understood the emptiness of independent existence of the table, whereas the emptiness of independent existence of the table and the inherent existence of the table, these two are synonymous. Now what's your point?
No.
What no?
Because the definition is not shared between the two systems.
I'm not asking
No, okay.
the definition. So what I'm asking, you got my point? Does, these two, do they mean the same or not? Emptiness of inherent existence of the table and the emptiness of independent existence of the table. Do they mean the same or not? Yes. Anyone who understands one should understand the other as well? Yes, no? Yes. So Swatantrika Madhyamika, do they understand the emptiness of inherent existence of the table? No. They should understand it because they understand the emptiness of independent existence of the table.
Yes.
So anyone who understands the emptiness of independent existence of the table should necessarily understand the emptiness of inherent existence of the table.
Yes, they should.
Yes, right? So Swatantrika Madhyamika, they understand it.
Yes.
Yes, so this means they know the ultimate nature of the table. So they are Prasangikas.
Yes.
Yes, so they are no Swatantrikas. They are no Swatantrika Madhyamikas. Okay, again, this is your homework. Right. So now,
Can I ask you a question, Geshe?
yes.
I want to know the definition that the Prasangikas say inherent existence, what their definition of inherent existence is.
Okay, very good point.
And I would like to know the definition of what the Svatantrikas say.
Very good. Very good. Very good. I'll do this. From the point of view of Swatantrika Madhyamika, okay, let me put it this way. Inherent existence. Now, you should be really very attentive here. As for the definition of inherent existence, objective existence, intrinsic existence, the definition-wise, all schools accept the same. The definition of inherent existence, please write it this way, even if you don't agree with me for the time being, write it this way, and then I'll explain. the definition, simply put it this way, however, this word is really very important, critical. However, the definition of inherent existence, intrinsic existence, and objective existence is accepted in the same way by all schools. Say, I'm seeing a rat here, a mouse here. I'm seeing a mouse here, and you don't see it, right? What do you think? How do you think? Do you think that there's any difference in defining mouse between you and me? I think same, right? Yeah, same, you know. So say, you know, if there's a mouse really going on, really a real mouse going on there, or there's a mouse over there, you'll also agree to that, you know. So this indicates that we define the mouse in a similar way. Now look. Oh, Alec, would you mind, you know, giving a piece of bread to this mouse in front of me? Where's the mouse? You'll ask. Right there in front of me, right there in front of me. And what will you say? This is not a mouse, this is a cup. Right? So we define the mouse in the same way, but I said that there is a mouse on the table, and you said that there's no mouse on the table. Right? We define it the same way. You got me? We define what mouse is in the same way, because when there's a real mouse going on there, we would agree. But then the difference here in this, you know, is that I say the mouse is there, and you said there is no mouse, it's just a cup. And then I said, it's not a cup, it's a mouse, you know. And then you try to prove that this is a cup. Hey, is this the ear of the mouse? No, this is the lid of the cup. I see there is no mouse, there's a cup. You know, similarly, inherent existence, objective existence, intrinsic existence, all schools, they define it the same way. But the difference is that Prasangika Madhyamika says that there is no inherent existence. And all other schools say that there is inherent existence. This is the only difference. Right? Say, why did I say that? Why did I say there is a mouse on my table? Because of the misperception here, distorted perception here, you know, distorted perception here. Things made me think that there is a mouse there on the table, right? But it doesn't mean that I don't know what mouse is. I don't call a cup a mouse. It's my distorted perception which made me think that there is the tail over there, the tail of the mouse, you know, the ears. And then when Ella comes to, you know, pick up all these things, then I come to realize, oh no, this is not a mouse, right? Then we come into, we agree, we start agreeing that there's no mouse there. Because we define it the same way. We define it the same way. You know, the only thing is that, you know, although I know what it means by mouse, but because of some other distortions, you know, I start seeing something else as mouse. You know, so then I started saying that there's a mouse on the table, and you saying that there's no mouse on the table. But, you know, do we differ in terms of defining the mouse? Yes, no. Yes, no. Venerable Semgye?
No.
No, you know, we don't differ in as to how to define a mouse. We all just agree. But, you know, I'm saying that there's a mouse on the table, and you said there's no mouse on the table. There's a difference. So why is this difference? Because of the distorted perception in me and no distorted perception in you. So similarly, the Prasangika and all the other schools, they all define objective existence, inherent existence, intrinsic existence the same way. But the Prasangika says that there is no inherent existence. And all other schools say that there is inherent existence. So if they define it the same way, then why is this difference? That other schools saying that there is inherent existence and Prasangika saying that there is no inherent existence. Why? Distortion, exactly. Because of the lacking, the knowledge, because of the distortion, that things are perceived as inherently existent and then trusting that perception by the other schools, right? Okay. Now, this is so easy. The next point, what is the second group according to Swatantrika Madhyamika? True existence and independent existence. So now when you define the true existence and independent existence, then there is difference. Okay, by the way, let me just first of all explain to you briefly as to what, how to define inherent existence. In short, let me tell you what it means by inherent existence. Okay, this is our classwork, not homework. Let us all look at this cup in front of me. Look at the cup. Look at the cup. Look at the cup. I know you know what it means by cup, but I still want you to look at the cup. Now, you're looking at it? Good. When you look at it, are you seeing the cup?
Yes.
Yes. This is a very simple question. Next question is, don't always think that the questions are as simple as what I'm asking. The questions can become more complicated. Now, the more complicated question, how does it appear to you? Does it appear to you as though it is your mind creating it, your projector, You must have seen projectors or projecting a movie on the screen. So where is that picture coming about? From the wall or from where? From the projector, from the projecting machine. Yeah, so it is a projecting machine which projects the picture over there. Similarly, this cup, when it appears to you, does it appear to you as though your mind is projecting it over there?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Be serious.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. This means that the cup, while undeniably it is appearing to you, but when it appears to you, it doesn't appear as though it is your mind projecting it over there. Right?
Correct.
Okay, this means that instead of your mind projecting it over there, the Magga is saying as though I'm here. Coming to your eyes. This is what is known as objective existence. And objective existence, inherent existence, intrinsic existence, these three mean the same. So when Prasangika says that there's no inherent existence, they mean that the way it appears to you, coming to you, this is wrong. Right? Okay. Now next, what is the second group according to Swatantrika Madhyamika? Independent existence and true existence. So, according to Prasangika, as I said earlier, true existence, independent existence, and all these things just mean the same. They are all synonyms. But according to Swatantrika Madhyamika, you have to make two groups. Or the one group, inherent existence, objective existence, intrinsic existence. On the other group, we have true existence and independent existence, right? Okay, two. So, now my test to you. Swatantrika Madhyamika, do they make distinction between these two groups or not?
Yes.
Yes. Do they define the two groups differently or the same way?
Different.
Are you sure?
Yes.
My next question. How does Swatantrika Madhyamika define inherent existence?
object that appears to exist from its own side. Same.
How can you convince me of that?
Because you look at the cup and it appears to exist in that way. And that's
Oh
what
no,
you say.
this is no. So just try to convince me on the basis of the information that we have exchanged
Because
so
the
far.
definition of inherent existence is agreed by all schools, you told us.
Exactly. This is the test. Because how inherent existence is defined is just the same in all schools. So since that I've already explained to you as to how inherent existence is explained or defined by Prasangika Madhyamika, this is applicable to all other schools as well. Right? Now, the Swatantrika Madhyamika, they don't have to define as to what it means by inherent existence, because we have already defined it and which is applicable to all schools. So what we should be defining, since that the definition of inherent existence and that group differs from the independent and true existence group, so therefore we have to define what it means by true existence and independent existence. Okay. According to Swatantrika Madhyamika, when things, for example, again the same cup, when we say the cup exists, according to Swatantrika Madhyamika, it must, okay. Okay, so I cannot stop myself explaining this. When the cup exists, it must exist through the contribution of the object and the subject. Half-half. Swatantrika Madhyamika point of view, right? It's half from the object, half from the subject. Right? Okay. So, does the cup exist 100% from the object side? No. So believing that the cup exists 100% from the object side is what is known as true existence and independent existence, independent of the subjective mind. The cup existing 100% from its own side, from 100% from the object side, is what is known as true existence and independent existence.
Without subject.
Without subject. 100% means 0% from the subject side. Whereas in true sense, it is only 50% from the object. And there's 50% from the subject side. Whereas here, when you say subject side, just 0, and object 100%, this is what is known as true existence, independent existence. Right? Okay. So in this connection, let me give you an example, to understand what it means by true existence, and how come that objects exist 50% from the object side and 50% from the subject side. So Swatantrika Madhyamika, they come up with a very popular example of magical illusion. Example of magical illusion to give understanding as to how things exist by 50% subjective imputation, 50% from the object side. Okay, anyone who has ever experienced or seen magical show? Just raise your hands. Anshugi, you have seen that magical show? Good, everyone. Good, I'm happy then. Because then the example will make sense. Otherwise, even if I say it's like just simply, fabricating myself. Okay. But I don't know what kind of magical show you have seen. There is one typical magical show where the magical show is created by means of two things. Number one, they should be the basis of the magical show, which constitutes so very crude objects such as pebbles and small sticks like that, some very crude things as the basis of the magical show. And then this one, the one requirement. And the second requirement is that the magician, he will spray a powder, in the air in the absence of your knowledge. In the absence of the knowledge of the spectators, he will spray it in the air. And then what will happen? The air will carry it, and then it will enter into your eyes. Your eyes are distorted. Right? So now look. But don't worry, don't be afraid. So what happens is that when your eyes are already distorted, you don't know that. And you try to look at each other. And don't be afraid. You still see your friends as they are, your colleagues as they are. But what happens is that when you look at those crude pebbles and sticks, then you start seeing all wonderful things like elephants, pigeons, all wonderful things. Right? So, then what happens is that while you are enjoying this show, your father or your mother comes to call you. And then her eyes are not distorted. And then she's looking at the same thing, and you would call, you hear your mother, and you call your mother, oh, please come here, look, on that stage, such a beautiful, show of the horses, elephants, and these things. And then the mother saying, oh, where is it? It's over there. And the mother only sees pebbles and sticks like that. So what is the difference? Why is your mother not seeing the magical show, and why you are seeing it? Because your eyes are distorted. And when you look at your mother, you are not seeing the magical show. You are seeing your mother. Why don't you see, with your distorted eyes, why don't you see the magical show when you look at the opposite side and, not to the sticks and the pebbles?
50% comes from the eye.
Exactly, this is the answer. 50% from the object side. So it is only when the distorted eyes come in contact with those crude objects that the magical show comes about. Even if you have the distorted eyes, but when that does not come in contact with the pebbles and these things, then there is no magical show. And even if there are the pebbles and the sticks, but someone whose eyes are not distorted looks at it, doesn't see the magical show. So to have the magical show, they must come into contact, these two things. From the object side, they must be what? The pebbles and the magical objects. And from the subject side, there must be the distorted eyes. So only when these two come in contact, then the magical show arises. So this is 50% from the object side, 50% from the subject side, right? So similarly, everything that you see in this universe, including yourself, everything arises by means of your 50% your mental imputation and 50% from the object side. Whereas when you look at the cup here, again the same work, the class work. You look at the cup. When you look at the cup, does it appear as though like it's 50% coming from your eyes? No. So which means that 10% from your eyes? No, 0% from your eyes, which means 100% from the object side. This is what is known as true existence and independent existence. And this is distorted. This is wrong, right? Yes.
Term substantial existence?
Sorry?
Substantial existence?
Substantial existence.
Oh, where in this?
Good. Actually, I thought of shirking. And you arrested me. Okay. Substantial existence. This is more complicated. Okay, so yeah. Let us do it this way. Substantial existence. Substantial existence, generally speaking, again from the perspective of, all different schools, common explanation for all different schools, they refer to what is known as the autonomous substantial existence. Okay, so substantial existence can refer to two levels. One, which is commonly accepted by all schools, is what is known as autonomous substantial existence. The other one is true existence or independent existence. True existence or independent existence, the second level, right? So just as you understand, now you understand as to what it means by true existence and independent existence from the point of view of Svatantrika Madhyamika and from the point of view of Prasangika Madhyamika, you extend the same to substantial existence on the second level, right? That's it. So then in that case, we'll go a little bit the parts, assertions on the part, because still we are in Vipashika's world. Page 62, assertions on the parts. This section has three parts. The Great Exposition School's assertions regarding the objects of observation of the parts, objects abandoned by the parts, and the nature of the parts. So this, the basic three outlines is what is being shared by, the tenet system of all other Buddhist schools. What are they? Observation of the parts, the objects of observation of the parts, meaning what are the objects which are being meditated, by the when you are in parts, one. Number two, objects abandoned by the parts. What is to be abandoned in order to, when you go along the path? Obscurations, defilements, what are they? What are the precise explanation of these? Number two. And number three, what are the nature of the parts? Okay, can someone tell me again what these three are? What these three outlines are under the parts? Objects of observations of the path. What do you mean by object of observation of the path? What do you meditate? What is the object that you meditate upon? What is the second?
Objects to be abandoned.
What do you mean by that? The defilements. What kind of defilements? How the divisions of the defilements, the definitions of defilements, and so forth. And then what's third? Nature of the parts. How many kinds of parts, and so forth. Okay, first, objects of observations of the parts. The objects of observations are the 16 attributes of the Four Noble Truths, impermanence, and so forth. So that, did you make a copy of the chart that Venerable Chugila gave to us?
There was some made, but
No, it doesn't matter. Simply you make sure that you have a copy for each of you. That's it. We don't need to have it here. Okay. So simply, that's really very important to know these 16 points, first of all. And of all, the most important thing is the first four. Okay. Next. Subtle selflessness and subtle selflessness of persons are asserted to be mutually inclusive. Okay, before delving in this, let me put it this way. We should know this. So once you get this, then as we go along the other tenet systems, it will become much easier. Okay, so what we have is that Broadly speaking, selflessness and emptiness, they mean the same. Broadly speaking, generally speaking, these two mean the same. And then a selflessness can be thought of or is classified, so this is from the point of view of the general Buddhist tenet, not specifically from the Vaibhashika, Sutrantika, like that, from the general Buddhist perspective point of view. So when you say general Buddhist perspective point of view, it resonates mostly with Prasangika's point of view. So you should be feeling happy about it, right? So what we have, the selflessness, it can, broadly speaking, it is of two kinds: selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena, right? Two. Now, as to whether the understanding of these two, has any difference in subtlety or not, the different schools, they interpret it differently, right? Okay. And yet, some schools, they don't accept the selflessness of phenomena. So what we should be knowing right now here is that generally speaking, the concept of selflessness is of two kinds: selflessness of persons and selflessness of phenomena too. So there are some schools who don't accept the selflessness of phenomena, but all schools accept the selflessness of person. Some schools accept both, whereas others accept only the selflessness of person. This is what we should know. Next thing that we should know is that some schools, it is thus Prasangika. Prasangika says that the selflessness of person and the selflessness of phenomena, these two have no difference in terms of the subtlety. Whereas the rest of the Buddhist schools, whosoever accepts, other than Prasangika, whosoever accepts the two levels of selflessness, two kinds of selflessnesses, they say that there is difference in terms of subtlety between the selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena, right? This is what we should know, one of the things that we should know. Now, another thing that we should be knowing is that in terms of the selflessness of phenomena, there is no specific divisions. It's just one. Whereas the selflessness of person, we can speak of the gross selflessness of person and the subtle selflessness of person. Gross and subtle. Right? Okay. So that much we should have as a background for to go through what we are supposed to be reading, from the point we are to read. You got it? Okay, now let's read. Let's see. Subtle selflessness and subtle selflessness of persons are asserted to be mutually inclusive. So, what message does it give? Which of the part that I've already said earlier is pointed to by this line? Subtle selflessness and subtle selflessness of person are asserted to be mutually inclusive.
The Prasangika's view that says the selflessness of person phenomena have no difference in their subtleties.
It's just the person saying.
Anyone? My question is, I have given you several points already regarding that. From these different points that I've already stated, which resonates most closely to what is stated here. Subtle selflessness and subtle selflessness of persons are asserted to be mutually inclusive.
Is that all except selflessness of person?
Exactly. This means that Vaibhashika doesn't accept the selflessness of phenomena. Whenever there is the explanation of selflessness, it simply means selflessness of person, that's it. Selflessness or the selflessness of person, these two just are synonymous. These two are interchangeable. These two are mutually inclusive. Right? You got it? Okay. Next, the subtle selflessness of persons is asserted to be a person's emptiness of being substantially existent in the sense of being self-sufficient. What do you understand out of this? Okay, we will do this and then we'll stop. This in itself is a huge subject, huge topic. Just few lines, 2 or 3 lines. Okay, so look, when they speak about this selflessness of person, you know, of course, they also speak about it's not just them. So Vibhashka just exclude Prasangika. All other schools, you know, they speak about okay, let me put it this way. All Buddhist schools, they speak about the selflessness of person in 2 levels. What are they? The subtle and gross and subtle. Good. Now, as to what they point to as the selflessness of the gross selflessness of person and the subtle selflessness of person differs. Right? Okay, now Prasangika, it is only the Prasangika who differs. So Prasangika, keep it aside. All other schools, Swatantrika Madhyamika, Chittamatra, and what? Sutrantika and Vibhashka, they all share the same in terms as to which to point to, you know, as the gross selflessness of person and which is the subtle selflessness of person. This is exactly the same in all Buddhist schools other than Prasangika. Now the question is, from the lower school's point of view, other than from all other schools other than Prasangika, our question is, what is the gross selflessness of person and what is the subtle selflessness of person? The gross selflessness of person is the lack of eternal, unitary, independent self. Let's better put it this way: lack of or the selflessness of eternal, unitary, independent self. Selflessness of eternal, unitary, independent self is the gross selflessness of person. You got it? Okay. So what is the subtle selflessness of person? It is the selflessness of autonomous, substantial existence. Selflessness of autonomous, substantial existence. Right? Now we should know, what does it mean by the selflessness of eternal, unitary, independent self? Or what does it mean by selflessness of autonomous, substantial reality? Right? Okay. So this I think we did last year. Right? So this I don't think we have to do it again. You want to do it again? Yes, no?
Yes.
Vote.
Yes.
Yes.
We can always use some more ingredients.
And I was not here last year.
Sorry?
I wasn't here last year.
I see.
But I'm the center of the universe, so it doesn't matter.
I think this is quite important. Yeah. So by so doing, even my little understanding that I have can be enriched. Yeah. Or can be refreshed. Yeah. So the first one, the grosser one, what is that? The selflessness of eternal, unitary, independent self. Okay, first, this one. This is relatively easy. Say, eternal. Eternal here, the better would be, permanent rather than eternal. Translation, Selflessness of permanent, unitary, independent self. This is better. And then I'll tell you why. eternal means, something which is everlasting. So the self is everlasting, even from the Buddhist point of view, even from Prasangika's point of view. Self is everlasting, because we as selves, we have been existing since beginningless time. And then we have been taking this journey until now. And then if we practice well, eventually we'll become enlightened, Buddha. So even after you have achieved Buddhahood, so there, the self of the Buddha is there. So you can rightly say that, oh, when I achieve Buddhahood, I will come to help you. So this means that you continue to the point of Buddhahood. So there is eternally existent self, right? But the self does not exist permanently. So we should make distinction between the eternal existence and the permanent existence of the self. Because permanent has the connotation not just everlasting, but rather unchanging. And the self has been ever changing all the time. In our last lives, we don't know, we have several times taken birth as hell beings, or celestial beings, or hungry ghost beings, or dogs, cats, insects, mosquitoes, so forth. And now we are a human being. So we keep on changing, although the self continues, but in every time in a form of changing. So the self is not permanent. And yet, actually, I don't know if I've shared this with you, but I want to share, I want to again share this with you, if I've already shared this last year. Once I was coming up from South India to receive teachings from His Holiness to Dharamsala, and then on my way to Delhi, I was there in Delhi transiting on transit, and then a very young Indian boy, approached me, a very young Indian boy, and he was, kind of curious to talk to me, and he was asking, "Oh, you're a Buddhist monk?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, Buddhism is a part of Hinduism?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Yes, yes." And he's already so prepared, to prove me that Buddhism is Hinduism. And he took something from his bag. And in that was, a painting of the origin, the origin of all the great masters, starting from Vishnu, who is one of the Hindu gods, the Vishnu and his then emanations, different emanations. And then finally, the 10th one is the Buddha, Buddha Shakyamuni, Oh, beautiful painting, already there in his, offhand. Oh, I was so surprised. And he showed me that, look, this is the proof that Buddhism is a part of Hinduism, because the Buddha is the 10th reincarnation of Vishnu, And then, oh, it's so, enticing. And I told him, "Okay, well, you have this wonderful picture, but I don't agree with you, because how can you possibly say that, Buddhism is Hinduism? Because these two, they have a big difference in terms of their philosophy. Buddhism says that there is no Atma, which means the permanent, unitary, independent self. And whereas the Hindu says that there is Atma, So how can the two contradictory, systems be of the same system?" And then he said, "Oh, don't you believe that there is Atma?" Then I said, "Yes, there is no Atma." And then he said, "There is Atma." Then I told him, "Oh, it would be so kind of you if you can convince me that there is Atma, because this is what, I find so difficult to accept. It would be so kind of you to help me with that." And then he thought that, that was really a difficult, thing for me. And then he has been so kind enough to try to convince me of that. So he was saying that, "Oh, there is Atma, and it's how, And then he said, "Oh, we have a body." And then you say, oh, this is my body. And they say, I say, yes. So what is there? When you say there is this my body, which means that the body is the object and my, or the I, and the possessor of that object, right? This means that the possessor and the possessed, these two should be two distinct things. Oh, wonderful, amazing. Then what? And then you say, and then you will say, this is my mind. You know, this is my mind. Again, the mind is the object, and the I or the my as the possessor of that mind. Which means that there's I, which is distinct, which is the owner of the mind and the body. You know, this is what is known as Atma. You know? So when you say that, oh, this is my mind, you'll not say that. This is my mind. You will not say that. Everybody will laugh at you. You know, but you can say, this is my body, this is my mind, which indicates that you are the possessor, and you are your body and your mind, they are the objects to be possessed. So just as you say, oh, this is my watch, this is my robes, you know, these are the objects to be possessed. You can keep them away, and you can be away. You can be away towards the east, and you can leave the things over there, which you possess, in the west. So you can be separated. So this means there's a self which is, you know, independent, separable from the body and the mind. Right? Now look, the body, of course, what we see ourselves as changing is actually our body and our mind. Our body is growing older. But since that, you know, even if somebody, you know, just, you know, throws mud to my clothes become muddy, and I can throw it away. You know, I can be separate. I can remain clean and my clothes dirty. Right? So similarly, even if the clothes are dirty, it doesn't mean that you are dirty. Even if the body is changing, it doesn't mean that you are changing. Right? Your mind is changing. When you're a child, you don't know anything. But now you know a lot of things. So your mind has changed. When you're a child, you know, you don't have those hairs and all these things. But now you have all these things. So this means that, you know, your mind is changing, your body is changing, no doubt. But it doesn't mean that you are changing. You know, it is simply the objects you own are changing. So although your objects are the body and the mind, they are impermanent, but you are permanent. Although you say that, oh, I have different parts, my right hand, left hand, and so forth, but it is your body which has the parts. Although you say that, oh, my mind, one part of my mind is positive, other part of my mind, you know, the afflictions arising, this is your mind, which has different facets, different kinds. Let them have let them have many parts, but you are different from them. You are distant from them. You are single. You are, you know, unitary. And your body needs to be fed with food and these things. And your mind needs to be fed by knowledge in these things. You know, your mind is dependent on other factors for maturity. And your body is dependent on food and these things to sustain yourself. But you are not your body and your mind. So you are independent. Right? So therefore, although your body and the mind, they are impermanent. They are with different parts, many parts. They are dependent on other factors. But you, since that you are distinct from these two, you are the owner of these two, you have nothing to do with these two. So you are permanent, although your body and mind are impermanent. And you are unitary, although your body and the mind, they have different parts. And you are independent, although your body and the mind, they are dependent on other factors. So this is what is known as the self with three characteristics. Total, called as Atma. Right? So he convinced me like that. So beautiful. Amazing. Right? Anyone who can contend this? Or you want to say, oh, you are right, I will follow you?
Well, it's
Where is
easy
it?
to be
Where is it?
persuaded of that because
Sorry?
it's easy to be persuaded of that
No, the thing is that how can you content it?
How
If you cannot content it, that's it.
ourselves, right?
Sorry?
That's how we experience ourselves, so we don't, it's not our natural inclination to contend it.
No, the question is,
I agree.
okay, I'll tell you one thing. So in the past, there is no in-between things. Either you have to say yes or no. In the past, so when debates go, when the debates go on, then whoever lost the debate should submit themselves, convert themselves, So many of the Hindus, they were converted into Buddhism, and under some circumstances, even some of the Buddhists converted into Hindus, So similarly, are you going to be converted into Hindus? If you lose, there's no choice. Otherwise, you have to, run away from the bed. You think you can content?
Maybe with part of it.
Okay, do it.
I guess if I can contend with any part of it, then I've contended with it.
Oh, quite good, yeah.
If you are so independent of your body and mind, then you should be findable outside of your body and mind. Then you should be findable. The self should be findable outside of your body and mind.
Why?
Because you're independent from it. We should be able to put your body and your mind there, and you over here.
But then you are tied with this body and mind by karma.
But you should still be findable outside of that.
Why?
Because you're independent.
No. So it doesn't mean that. Say for example, I'll give a very easy example: the milk and the water. You put milk in water in the milk. These two are two distinct things, but you cannot separate it. The water is independent of the milk. The water that you added later.
But they both have the same characteristics.
So whatever is the case, but these two are two distinct things. And you cannot separate these two. Or the Hindus are not as easy. Oh, now look, you all say, oh, I'll follow you. Okay, so what is the case? We have to somehow prove that, such a monolithic, permanent, unitary, independent self does not exist. So the emptiness of such a self is referred to as the selflessness of eternal, unitary, independent self, which is referred to as the grosser level of impermanent, the grosser level of selflessness. If you're unable to convince of the grosser level of selflessness, how can you expect the subtler level of selflessness? Okay, right. Okay, so then immediately I responded to him, by saying that, oh look, give me you have a pen. Oh, it's here. So, immediately I responded to him, I see such a wonderful explanation, Imagine this pen, What is this? This is the refill of the pen, right? Which means that this is the refill of the pen, means that the pen is what owns this refill, right? Okay. What is this? This is the what? Cap. Yeah, this is the cap. Or this cap, I don't know which one. So say this is the body, this is the body of the pen, which means that there's a pen who is possessing this body. Okay. What is this? This is the tip of the pen, Again, there's a pen and the tip, which is described as the object, the tip of the pen. Do you mean to say that the pen also has Atma? Because there must be something which is the ownership, which having the ownership of all these things. Because we say that this is something of the pen, this is something of the pen, this is something of the pen. This means all the time there's one, which you call as a pen, which is in possession of these things, So the pen, do you think just as you have a Atma, do you mean to say that pen also has Atma? Because the same logic applies there. And then he said, he could start, he could start. And then I told him, as a consolation, This is not your fault. The only thing is that you have not asked this question to your teacher. Right? Your teacher knows the answer. But since that you have not asked this question, you don't know the answer. Now you go back to your school and you ask this question to your teacher. Yeah. Okay. So, next. The subtler selflessness of person. What is that? Selflessness of autonomous substantial existence. This is more complicated. I don't think, shall we do it now or later? Better do it later. This needs a little bit of, refreshed mind. Fresh and more alert mind. More energetic.